Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You know how much we love digging into these fascinating business books, and today we're really excited to be exploring the new Business Road Test
By John
by
Mullins.
John Mullins. That's right.
Uh,
Whether you're, thinking about starting a new business yourself or evaluating, potential investment opportunity or just love understanding how the business world works, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure you walk away with practical knowledge and actionable insights that you can use in your own endeavors.
So imagine this, we're all hanging out, having a relaxed conversation about entrepreneurship, and we're sharing the key ideas from this awesome book.
Exactly. We're using the book as a springboard for a lively discussion, packed with real-world examples and practical advice, straight from the source.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's jump right in. One of the most powerful tools Mullins introduces in the book is this thing called the 7 domains framework.
Okay. The 7 domains framework.
Yeah, and it's a comprehensive way to assess the viability of any new business idea. It really helps you figure out if an idea is truly worth pursuing.
So it's like a checklist.
Yeah, think of it as a sort of a checklist or a roadmap for evaluating a business opportunity.
Makes sense.
And it covers everything from market attractiveness and industry attractiveness to the strength of your team and the connections you have, and so much more.
All right, I'm intrigued. Let's break it down a little bit.
Sure. Let's say you're thinking about starting a business. And I know it sounds cliche, but just for the sake of illustration, let's imagine it's a lemonade stand. You've got a killer recipe. You've snagged the perfect spot in your neighborhood. And you know what? You've even convinced your older brother to be your bouncer to ward off any competition.
I love it already. I can picture it.
Right. Sounds like a guaranteed success, right?
Yeah, totally. But I'm guessing there's more to the story.
You bet there is. Even with a seemingly simple business like a lemonade stand, you need to think strategically, and this is where market analysis comes in.
Okay, so what kind of analysis are we talking about?
Well, we can use another framework here called a Porter's 5 forces.
5 forces.
Right, it's a classic business tool, and it helps you analyze the competitive dynamics of an industry.
So how does it work?
So basically, it looks at 5 key forces: the threat of new lemonade stands popping up, the bargaining power of your customers, the bargaining power of your suppliers, like, lemon growers, the threat of substitute drinks like maybe iced tea or, fruit punch, and finally, the rivalry among existing lemonade stands.
Yeah, okay, that's a lot to consider for just a simple lemonade stand.
Yeah, but it helps you understand the big picture.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take the threat of new entries. With your brother as your, security detail, that threat is probably pretty low.
He's a pretty tough guy.
But what if a heat wave hits your town, right?
Sure.
Suddenly everyone's craving a refreshing drink. So the bargaining power of your customers decreases because they're desperate for your lemonade. You've got the advantage.
I see. So you gotta have a captive audience.
Precisely. But let's say the price of lemons skyrockets, because of a bad harvest. Suddenly your suppliers have more bargaining power, and that could squeeze your profit margins.
Okay, so even a lemonade stand has to deal with the ups and downs of the market.
Exactly. And that's why this kind of analysis is so important. It helps you see those potential challenges and opportunities.
All right, so even for a small operation like this, understanding your market is key.
Absolutely. And it's not just about understanding the competitive landscape. It's also about understanding the size and potential of your target market.
Okay, so how big is your market?
Right. Big markets might seem attractive, but they're only attractive if your product or service offers a unique advantage to a specific group of customers. Mullins gives a great example in the book about Nestle's failed attempt to launch refrigerated pizza.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, they were going after a massive market, but they couldn't convince customers to choose their pizza over other options.
So they didn't have a clear target customer in mind.
They kind of tried to be everything to everyone, and that often doesn't work out.
So it's better to focus on a niche market.
Precisely. It's better to own a large share of a smaller targeted market than a tiny slice of a huge market.
Makes sense. So it's about quality over quantity when it comes to your market.
You got it. You want to be a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big ocean.
Now that's an analogy I can relate to.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered market analysis and the importance of finding your niche. What's next on our entrepreneurial journey?
Well, let's talk about sustainability. What makes a business model last?
That's a big question. What keeps a business going strong over time?
Right. And Mullins gives some great examples of both successful and unsuccessful companies to illustrate this point. Let's start with a success story. Zantac, the heartburn medication.
Oh yeah, Zantac was everywhere.
Exactly. And their success was largely due to strong patent protection They had the exclusive right to produce and sell the drug for a certain period.
So they had a monopoly.
In a way, yes, and that gave them a huge advantage. They could establish market dominance and rake in profits before competitors could enter the market.
Okay, that makes sense. So intellectual property protection is crucial for sustainable success.
Absolutely. It's like having a legal moat around your castle.
I like that analogy. It protects you from the competition.
But remember, patents don't last forever. And Mullins uses the example of EMI, the company that developed the CAT scanner.
That's a groundbreaking invention.
Absolutely. And they had patents, but competitors found ways to work around them. Within a few years, EMI lost its market leadership and eventually exited the business.
Wow. So even with a revolutionary product, patents aren't always enough to guarantee long-term success.
Exactly. Sustainable success needs more than a temporary advantage. You need a robust business model.
Okay, so what does a robust business model look like?
Well, let's look at another example, eBay.
eBay, the online auction site.
The one and only, their business model was genius. They connected buyers and sellers online with minimal overhead. They didn't need to manage physical inventory or deal with traditional retail costs.
So they kept their costs low.
Extremely low. And they were able to achieve impressive profitability and positive cash flow early on.
They were making money from the start.
Pretty much from day one.
Right.
And that's a key ingredient for a sustainable business.
Okay, so eBay is a prime example of a successful business model. Now, I can't help but think of the opposite. A company that had a great idea, but maybe not the best business model.
You're thinking about Webvan.
Webvan, yes, the online grocery delivery company.
The poster child for unsustainable business models.
What went wrong with them?
They had a brilliant idea, but they struggled with high operating costs, customer acquisition challenges, and they couldn't overcome those ingrained shopping habits. People were used to going to the grocery store.
So even with the convenience of online ordering, they couldn't get enough customers to make it work.
Exactly. And they burned through a ton of cash in the process.
So it's a classic example of a great idea that wasn't backed up by a solid business model.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah.
So we've learned from Zantac that intellectual property protection is important. We've learned from eBay that a low-cost, scalable business model is powerful. And we've learned from Webvan that even the best ideas need a viable way to make money.
That's some really valuable stuff to keep in mind.
Mm.
So we've covered market dynamics, sustainability. Now, what's next on the agenda?
Let's talk about the people behind the venture, the entrepreneurial team.
Okay, the human factor. So it's not just about the idea or the market, it's also about who's running the show.
Exactly. And Mullins highlights this with the story of Palm Computing, the company that revolutionized handheld devices.
Oh yeah, I remember those Palm Pilots. Everyone had one.
They were cutting edge. And their founder, Jeff Hawkins, was not only a tech genius, he also understood the business side of things. He knew what it took to win in that industry.
So he was a visionary leader.
He was. He knew how to identify those make-or-break elements that Mullins calls critical success factors, or CSF.
Critical success factors. What are those?
Think of them as the things your business absolutely needs to nail to succeed in your market, right? So for a restaurant, it might be location and food quality. For a software company, it might be user experience and development speed.
Okay, so each industry has its own set of CSFs.
Exactly. And Hawkins not only identified these CSFs for the handheld device market, he also assembled a team with the precise experience and expertise needed to execute on those CSFs.
So he had the right people in the right roles.
Exactly. It's like building a dream team where each player brings a unique skill set to the game.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. Okay, so a strong team with the right skills and experience is essential for success.
Absolutely. And Mullins provides a stark contrast with the story of Schwinn, the iconic bicycle brand.
Oh yeah, what happened to them?
Well, they were a leader in their industry, but they failed to adapt to changing market trends. They missed the mountain bike craze, and they made some poor leadership decisions.
So they didn't keep up with the times.
They got complacent.
Yeah.
And ultimately, their inability to execute on operational excellence led to their downfall.
So it's a reminder that even established companies can fall behind if they don't stay agile and adapt to the market.
Exactly. Past success is no guarantee of future survival. You've got to keep evolving and responding to the changing needs of your customers.
It's a tough lesson, but a valuable one. So what's the key takeaway from these contrasting stories? For someone like me who's thinking about starting a business, what should I be focusing on?
I think the big lesson here is that building a successful business requires more than just a great idea or even a great product or service.
It's about the whole package.
It's about understanding your market, identifying those critical success factors, assembling the right team, and constantly adapting to change.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. but the rewards can be incredible.
Okay, so we've covered market analysis, sustainability, the importance of the team. What else is crucial for entrepreneurial success?
Well, next up, we're going to talk about the importance of connections in the business world. It's all about staying informed and building a network that can support you on your journey.
Okay, connections. Sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
Think of it like a mountain climber relying on communication with base camp. Without that vital flow of information, even the most skilled climber can face serious risks.
So it's about staying connected to what's happening around you.
Exactly. You need to be aware of changes in the market, emerging trends, new technologies, and you need a network of people who can provide support, advice, and opportunities.
Sounds like a valuable asset.
It's essential. Mullins gives a few examples of companies that stumbled because they were either disconnected from their environment or failed to nurture their connections.
Okay, let's hear about those examples.
So one is Verada, a company that developed cutting-edge technology for ATM switches.
ATM switches.
Yeah, the things that route your transactions when you use an ATM. They had a superior product, but they missed some critical shifts in the market.
Like what?
Well, Ethernet technology started to dominate, and Verada didn't adapt quickly enough.
So they were left behind.
Exactly. And they also struggled with communication and collaboration within their own company.
So a lack of internal and external connections.
Precisely. And that led to their downfall.
Okay, and what about the other example?
The other one is DEC Digital Equipment Corporation. They were once a dominant force in the computer industry, but they failed to recognize the rise of personal computers and the shift towards the UNIX operating system.
Wow, so even a giant like DEC could fall.
It happens. And their downfall was partly due to an insular culture and a lack of connections to emerging trends.
So they weren't paying attention to the changes happening around them.
They were too focused on their own internal world, and that cost them dearly.
These stories are pretty sobering. What's the key takeaway for aspiring entrepreneurs?
The big takeaway is that you need to be actively engaged with your suppliers, your customers, your competitors, and industry experts.
So that's not just about building a product in isolation.
Exactly. You need to be part of the conversation. You need to gather information, anticipate market changes, and be willing to adapt your course when necessary.
It's about staying connected to the pulse of the market.
Absolutely. And that's how you increase your chances of success.
Okay, so connections are crucial. What other gems does Mullins have in store for us?
Well, next up, we're going to explore the fascinating world of customer-funded businesses. And we'll see how some entrepreneurs have found creative ways to finance their ventures without relying on traditional investors.
Customer-funded businesses. That sounds intriguing. I'm ready to learn more.
Great, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So one of the most inspiring examples Mullins shares is the story of Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Platform where you can rent rooms or apartments from people.
The very same. Now, their story is a classic example of bootstrapping, starting a business with very limited resources.
So how do they get started?
Well, the founders came up with the idea during a conference when hotels were sold out. They decided to rent out air mattresses in their apartment to attendees.
That's a pretty scrappy start.
It was. And they used that initial success to launch some really creative customer-funded marketing tactics.
Like what?
Well, one of the things they did was sell limited edition cereal boxes.
Cereal boxes.
Yeah, they created these Obama O's and Captain McCain's cereal boxes during the 2008 presidential election.
That's brilliant.
It was a stroke of genius. They generated buzz-raised capital and got people talking about Airbnb.
So they turned their customers into investors and their marketing into a fundraising opportunity.
Exactly. They were masters at leveraging their community and creating a sense of excitement around their brand.
Okay, so customer funding sounds like a pretty cool approach. But does it work for every type of business?
Well, while it might not be universally applicable, it does have some distinct advantages.
Like what?
Well, it forces you to focus on your customers' needs from day one.
You have to listen to your customers.
Absolutely. And it enforces financial discipline. You're not relying on a big pile of investor cash, so you have to be resourceful and make every dollar count.
That makes sense. So it's about being lean and efficient.
Exactly. And it also provides validation for your business idea early on. If people are willing to pay for your product or service before it's even fully developed, that's a pretty good sign you're onto something.
So it's a way to test the market and get feedback.
Precisely. And Mullins highlights a few different models for customer-funded businesses.
Okay, like what?
Well, one is the subscription model. Think about companies like Netflix or Spotify.
So you pay a recurring fee for access to their content.
Exactly. And this model provides a predictable revenue stream, which is great for businesses.
Makes sense. And what are some other models?
Another one is what Mullins calls the scarcity model. Companies that use this model intentionally limit the availability of their products to create a sense of urgency and exclusivity.
Oh yeah, like those limited edition sneakers that sell out in minutes.
Exactly. Companies like Supreme or Zara use this strategy to drive demand and create a buzz.
It's like they're turning their products into collectibles.
In a way, yes. And it works wonders for their bottom line.
Fascinating. So limited availability can actually increase demand.
It's counterintuitive, but it's true.
Okay, what about the last model?
The last one is the service to product model. Mullins uses the example of Map My India, an Indian company that started out providing digital mapping services.
So like Google Maps.
Similar, they later transitioned into offering map products inspired by companies like MapQuest.
So they leveraged their expertise to create a new product offering.
Exactly, and that opened up a whole new market for them.
It's like they found a way to package their knowledge and sell it.
Precisely. And that's a powerful strategy for any business.
These examples are really inspiring. It seems like there's so many creative ways to finance a business these days.
Absolutely. And Mullins encourages entrepreneurs to think outside the box and find the model that works best for them.
So it's about finding the right fit for your business and your target market.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next chapter of our entrepreneurial journey, the entrepreneurial mindset.
Okay, the mindset. So we talked about the external factors like the market, the competition, the business model. Now we're shifting our focus inward.
Precisely. And Mullins explores the characteristic ways of thinking that contribute to entrepreneurial success.
So it's not just about what you know. It's also about how you think.
Exactly. It's about having a certain attitude, a certain approach to challenges and opportunities.
So what are some of these key entrepreneurial mindsets?
Well, one of the most important ones is what Mullins calls the yes, we can attitude.
Yes, we can. Sounds optimistic.
It is. It's about believing in your vision even when resources are limited. It's about seeing obstacles as challenges to overcome, not roadblocks.
So it's about having a can-do spirit.
Exactly. And Mullins illustrates this with the story of Mimi Icon, the founder of Luxy Hair.
Luxy Hair, I've heard of them. They sell hair extensions, right?
See. And Mimi started her business with very limited resources, but she had that yes, we can attitude, and she wasn't afraid to hustle.
So she was resourceful.
Incredibly, she leveraged online platforms, social media, and her own creativity to build a successful brand.
It's inspiring to hear stories like that. It shows that with passion and determination, you can achieve amazing things.
Absolutely. And another key entrepreneurial mindset is financial savvy.
Okay, financial savvy. That sounds important.
It's essential. Mullins shares the story of Rudd Brown, who used a clever approach to finance his business growth. He called it, ask for the cash and ride the float.
Ask for the cash and ride the float. I love that.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Basically, he negotiated favorable payment terms with both his suppliers and his customers.
So he maximized his cash flow.
Exactly. He was able to finance his company's growth without relying on external investors.
That's brilliant. So it's about being smart with your money and finding creative ways to manage your finances.
Precisely. And this mindset is crucial for any entrepreneur, especially in the early stages of building a business.
Okay, so we've covered the yes, we can attitude and financial savvy. What other entrepreneurial mindsets are important?
Well, another one is what Mullins calls riding the float.
Riding the float.
Right. It's about using other people's money to finance your growth.
So like getting a loan or attracting investors.
Exactly. But it's not just about getting the money. It's about using it wisely to create value and generate a return for those who invested in you.
So it's about being a good steward of other people's resources.
Precisely. And this mindset requires a combination of financial acumen, strategic thinking, and a deep understanding of your business and your market.
It sounds like a challenging but rewarding mindset to cultivate.
It is, but it's what separates successful entrepreneurs from the rest.
All right, so we've explored the entrepreneurial mindset. Now what's next on our agenda?
Well, next up, we're going to dive into the world of mission aspirations and risk propensity. It's all about aligning your personal goals with the demands of your venture.
Okay, so it's about finding the right balance between your personal aspirations and the realities of building a business.
Exactly. It's about being honest with yourself about what you want to achieve and what you're willing to risk to get there.
Sounds like a recipe for a fulfilling and sustainable entrepreneurial journey.
It is, and it's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive into the new business road test.
I'm excited to hear more about it.
Me too. So let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's talk about mission aspirations and risk propensity. It's all about aligning your personal goals with the demands of your venture.
Okay, so finding that sweet spot where your passion meets the realities of the business world.
Precisely. It's like setting a compass for your entrepreneurial journey. You know where you want to go and what you're willing to endure to get there.
Makes sense. So let's say I'm passionate about baking and I dream of opening my own bakery. Is that enough?
Passion is a great starting point, but you also need to think about your aspirations and your risk tolerance. Do you envision a small, cozy bakery in your neighborhood? Or do you dream of building a national franchise with hundreds of
Those
locations?
are two very different scenarios.
They are. And each one requires a different level of commitment, resources, and risk.
Okay, so I need to be realistic about what I'm willing to invest and potentially lose.
Absolutely. And that's where risk propensity comes in. Some entrepreneurs are comfortable betting the farm on their venture, while others prefer a more measured approach.
So it's about knowing your limits and making sure you're not taking on more risk than you can handle.
Precisely. Mullins uses the example of Starbucks to illustrate this point.
Starbucks, the coffee giant.
The one and only. Now, you might think that Howard Schultz, the founder, was driven by a deep love for coffee.
Isn't that the origin story for most coffee entrepreneurs?
You'd think so. But in Schultz's case, his initial inspiration came from the culture of Italian coffee bars. He was fascinated by the sense of community and connection that these places fostered.
So it wasn't just about the coffee, it was about the experience.
Exactly. He wanted to recreate that experience in America. He saw an opportunity to build a third place between work and home where people could connect and relax.
That's a powerful vision. And it obviously resonated with millions of people.
It did. And Schultz's aspirations went far beyond profits. He wanted to build a company that made a positive impact on the world.
So he had a strong mission, a clear set of values.
He did, and those values permeated every aspect of the Starbucks brand, from their commitment to fair trade coffee to their investment in their employees.
It's a great example of how a company's mission can drive its success.
Absolutely. Now let's look at another example. Third Love, the lingerie company.
Third Love, I've heard of them. They're known for their inclusive sizing, right?
Exactly. They disrupted the lingerie industry by offering half-cup sizes and catering to a wider range of body types.
So they saw a gap in the market and filled it.
They did. And their co-founder, Heidi Zak, had a background in tech and finance, not fashion. But she saw an opportunity to solve a real problem for women, and she was willing to take a leap of faith.
So she had that entrepreneurial spirit, that willingness to step outside her comfort zone.
She did. And she partnered with a talented lingerie designer, conducted extensive customer research, and built a brand that resonated with women.
It's inspiring to see how she combined her business acumen with her passion for creating a more inclusive and empowering brand.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, aligning your skills, your passions, and your aspirations.
Okay, so we've talked about mission aspirations, risk tolerance. Now, how does all of this play into attracting investors?
Well, savvy investors look beyond the business plan and the financial projections. They want to understand the entrepreneur behind the venture.
So they're investing in the person as much as the idea.
Exactly. They want to see passion, commitment, and a clear vision for the future.
So it's about more than just a good pitch.
It is. It's about conveying your belief in the business, your willingness to work hard, and your ability to navigate the inevitable challenges that will arise.
So it's about building trust and confidence.
Precisely. And that's what attracts investors and helps you secure the funding you need to grow your business.
Okay, so we've covered the internal factors, the entrepreneur's mission, aspirations, risk tolerance. Now let's shift our focus to the external environment.
You mean those factors that are beyond our control but can have a huge impact on our business?
Exactly. Things like the economy, government regulations, social trends.
Right. And Mullins dedicates a whole chapter to this. He introduces a tool called PESTLE analysis.
PESTLE. That sounds intriguing. What does it stand for?
It stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental.
Okay, so it's a way to scan the environment for potential opportunities and threats.
Precisely. It's like having a radar system for your business.
I like that analogy. So let's break it down a bit. What are some examples of political factors that can impact a business?
Well, think about government regulations, tax policies, trade agreements. Those can all have a big impact on your bottom line.
Right. A sudden change in import tariffs could cripple a business that relies on overseas manufacturing.
Exactly. And then there are economic factors like interest rates, inflation, economic growth.
So a recession could make it harder to secure funding or sell your products.
Absolutely. And then we have social factors like demographic trends, cultural norms, consumer behavior.
So a business that's out of touch with social trends could quickly become irrelevant.
Exactly. And then there's technology, which is constantly evolving and disrupting industries.
Right? Think about how the internet has transformed retail, music, travel, almost every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. And then there are legal factors like employment laws, consumer protection laws, intellectual property laws.
So businesses need to stay informed about the legal landscape to avoid costly mistakes.
Absolutely. And finally, we have environmental factors like climate change, environmental regulations, the growing demand for sustainability.
So businesses need to be mindful of their environmental impact and adopt sustainable practices.
They do. It's not just good for the planet, it's also good for business.
Okay, so pestle analysis is a comprehensive tool for understanding the external environment. Now, how can businesses use this information to their advantage?
Well, by analyzing these factors, entrepreneurs can identify potential opportunities and threats and adjust their strategies accordingly.
So it's about being proactive, anticipating change, and adapting to new realities.
Exactly. And Mullins gives the example of Tesla,
Tesla, the electric car company.
the one and only. They anticipated the shift towards electric vehicles, aligned their business model with growing environmental concerns, and leveraged advancements in battery technology.
So they turned those external factors into opportunities.
They did, and they built a successful brand in the process.
It's a great example of how understanding the external environment can drive innovation and success.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about the entrepreneur's internal motivations, the external environment. Now let's focus on the team that will execute the vision.
Okay, the people who will make it all happen. So how can entrepreneurs and investors evaluate a team's ability to get things done?
Well, Mullins suggests going beyond the resumes and the titles. You need to dig deeper.
So what should we be looking for?
Look for evidence of their track record, their experience in overcoming challenges, their ability to learn from mistakes.
So it's not just about what they've done, but how they've done it.
Exactly. It's about their problem-solving skills, their adaptability, their resilience.
So you're looking for grit and determination.
You are. And you're also looking for the specific skills and experience needed to succeed in their industry.
Right, because building a tech startup requires a different skill set than running a restaurant.
Exactly. And this is where those critical success factors we talked about earlier come back into play.
So does the team have experience executing on those make-or-break elements?
That's the key question. And it's not just about individual skills, it's also about teamwork. Even brilliant individuals can fail if they can't work together effectively.
So you're looking for a team that can collaborate, communicate, and make decisions together.
Exactly. Imagine a rowing team. Each individual needs strength and skill, but they also need to be synchronized to propel the boat forward.
That's a great analogy. So it's about finding a team that can row in unison towards a common goal.
Precisely. And that's what investors look for when they're evaluating a business opportunity.
Okay, so a strong team is essential, but even the best teams need the right connections to thrive.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to explore next, the importance of building and nurturing a network of support, advice, and opportunities.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into the world of connections.
Great, let's go.
Let's do it.
So we touched on this earlier, but it deserves a deeper dive. Connections are like oxygen for a business. They provide access to information, resources, and opportunities that fuel growth and innovation.
So no entrepreneur is an island. We all need a network to support us.
Exactly. And these connections can come from various sources: suppliers, customers, mentors, investors, industry experts, even competitors.
Competitors. That's an interesting one.
It is. Sometimes collaboration can be beneficial, especially in emerging industries. Working together can help establish standards and grow the market as a whole.
So it's not always about cutthroat competition.
Exactly. Sometimes competition can be a win-win for everyone involved.
Okay, so what are some examples of companies that have benefited from strong connections?
Well, Mullins shares the story of Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson's venture into the airline industry.
Richard Branson, the ultimate entrepreneur.
He's a master at leveraging connections.
Yeah.
He used his personal charm and his network of high-profile contacts to forge partnerships, secure landing slots, and even challenge giants like British Airways.
So he knew how to work the room.
He did, and she built a successful brand in the process.
Okay, and what about a company that struggled because of a lack of connections?
Mullins talks about Thinking Machines, a company that developed supercomputers in the 1980s. They had a brilliant team and innovative technology, but they struggled to connect with potential customers and build a sustainable business model.
So they had the product, but not the network.
Exactly. And that ultimately led to their downfall.
It's a reminder that connections are essential for any business.
They are. And it's not just about having a large network, it's about nurturing those relationships, providing value, and being a reliable partner.
So it's about building genuine connections, not just transactional ones.
Precisely. And that's how you create a network that will support you on your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so we've covered the importance of connections. Now let's talk about financing.
The lifeblood of any business, raising capital.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
often the biggest hurdle for entrepreneurs.
It is. And Mullins challenges the conventional wisdom that you should chase large sums of money from venture capitalists as early as possible.
Really? Isn't that the dream for many startups, to secure a multi-million-dollar funding round?
It might seem like the holy grail, but Mullins argues that raising too much money too early can actually be detrimental.
How so?
Well, when you have a lot of cash, it's easy to become complacent, lose focus, and make expensive mistakes.
It's like winning the lottery and blowing it all on frivolous things.
Exactly. He advocates for a more measured approach, encouraging entrepreneurs to focus on generating revenue from customers as early as possible.
So prove that your business model works before seeking large sums of external funding.
Precisely. That's what he calls the customer-funded approach.
And what are the benefits of this approach?
Well, it forces you to stay laser-focused on your customers' needs. It enforces financial discipline, and it provides valuable market feedback to help you refine your offering.
So it's about validating your idea and building a sustainable business from the ground up.
Exactly. And it puts you in a much stronger position to attract investors later on.
Because you've already proven that your business can generate revenue.
Precisely.
Hmm.
And you'll likely secure better terms and maintain greater control over your business.
So it's a smart strategy for both financial and strategic reasons.
Absolutely. Now, let's explore some specific strategies for securing funding without relying solely on traditional investors.
Okay, I'm all ears.
One option that's become increasingly popular in recent years is crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding like Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Exactly. These platforms allow entrepreneurs to raise money from a large pool of individual backers.
So it's like tapping into the power of the crowd.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's a great way to validate your idea, generate buzz, and build a community around your brand.
But it's not a guaranteed success.
Yeah, it's not. You need a compelling campaign, attractive rewards, and a solid marketing strategy to succeed on these platforms.
So it requires a lot of effort and planning.
It does. But if you do it right, crowdfunding can be a great way to launch your business.
Okay, what about other funding options?
Well, small business loans from banks and credit unions are still a viable option, especially if you have a solid business plan, good credit history, and collateral.
So banks are still lending money to startups.
They are, but they're risk averse. So you need to make a strong case for your business.
Okay, what about angel investors?
Angel investors are typically high net worth individuals who invest their own money in early stage companies.
So they're like wealthy individuals who are looking for promising startups to support.
Exactly. They're often driven by a desire to support innovation, mentor entrepreneurs, and potentially reap financial rewards.
So they bring both capital and expertise to the table.
They do, and they can be a great source of funding and guidance for entrepreneurs.
Okay, what about government grants and subsidies?
Those are also an option for some businesses, especially those focused on innovation, social impact, or job creation.
So it's worth exploring government resources.
It is. You might be surprised at what's available.
Okay, and what about bootstrapping?
Bootstrapping is all about using your own resources and revenue to fund your growth. It's a lean and mean approach that requires discipline and creativity.
So it's about doing more with less.
Exactly. And it's a great way to maintain control over your business and avoid giving up equity too early.
Okay, and what about bartering?
Bartering is all about exchanging goods or services without using money. It's a creative way to get what you need without spending cash.
So it's like a trade.
Exactly. And it can be a great way to conserve cash and build relationships with other businesses.
These are some really interesting options. I had no idea. There were so many different ways to finance a business.
There are. And the best strategy for you will depend on your industry, your growth stage, your risk tolerance, and your personal goals.
So it's about finding the right fit for your unique situation.
Precisely. And that brings us to the next chapter of our entrepreneurial journey, marketing and sales.
Marketing and sales, the engines that drive revenue.
Exactly. Even with a fantastic product or service, you won't succeed if you can't get your offering in front of the right customers and convince them to buy.
It's like that saying, build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door.
Right, except that's not always how it works in the real world.
So you need to actively market and sell your product.
You do. And Mullins emphasizes understanding your target market, crafting a compelling brand message, and choosing the right marketing channels.
Okay, so let's break it down. What does it mean to understand your target market?
It means knowing who your ideal customer is, what are their needs, what are their pain points, what motivates them to buy.
So it's about going beyond basic demographics and really digging into their psychographics.
Exactly. You need to understand their values, their beliefs, their
Okay.
aspirations.
And how do you gather this information?
Well, there are various methods. You can conduct surveys, focus groups, and analyze customer data.
So it's about combining quantitative and qualitative research.
Precisely. And you can also use social media analytics to see how your target audience interacts online.
Right. Because people are constantly sharing information about themselves on social media.
They are. And that data can be incredibly valuable for marketers.
Okay, so once you understand your target market, what's next?
Well, you need to craft a compelling brand message that differentiates you from the competition.
So what makes you unique? Why should customers choose you over everyone else?
Exactly. And this message needs to resonate with your target audience. It needs to speak to their needs, their desires, their aspirations.
Okay, and how do you choose the right marketing channels to reach your target audience?
Well, that depends on a variety of factors. Your budget, your target audience's media consumption habits, the nature of your product or service.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It's about finding the right mix of channels to reach your target audience effectively.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific channels. What about content marketing?
Content marketing is all about creating and sharing valuable content that attracts and engages your target audience.
So it's about providing information that's helpful, educational, or entertaining?
Exactly. And this content can take many forms: blog posts, articles, videos, infographics, ebooks, webinars.
So it's about becoming a trusted resource for your target audience.
Precisely. And it's a great way to build relationships and generate leads.
Okay, what about social media marketing?
Social media is an incredibly powerful tool for reaching your target audience, building relationships, and promoting your brand.
But it's a constantly evolving landscape.
It is. You need to stay up to date on the latest platforms, trends, and algorithms.
So it's a lot of work.
It is, but it can be incredibly rewarding if you do it right.
Okay, what about public relations?
Public relations, or PR, is all about managing your brand's reputation and shaping how the public perceives you.
So it's about getting positive media coverage.
It can be, but it's also about building relationships with journalists, influencers, and other key stakeholders.
So it's about managing your brand's image and messaging.
Exactly. And it's a crucial part of any successful marketing strategy.
Okay, we've covered content marketing, social media marketing, PR. Now let's talk about sales.
The moment of truth.
What?
Closing the deal.
Exactly. Marketing can generate leads and create awareness, but it's the sales team that brings in the revenue.
They're the ones on the front lines.
So what makes a great salesperson?
Well, Mullins emphasizes the importance of passion, product, knowledge, communication skills, negotiation skills, and relationship building.
So it's not just about being a smooth talker.
No, it's about understanding the customer's needs, building trust, and finding solutions that create value for both parties.
So it's about being a consultant, a problem solver.
Exactly. And it's also about having a clear sales process, tracking your metrics, and continuously refining your approach.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific sales strategies. What's relationship selling?
Relationship selling is all about building long-term relationships with customers rather than just focusing on making a quick sale.
So it's about creating a win-win situation where both parties benefit.
Exactly. And it's a great way to foster customer loyalty, repeat business, and valuable referrals.
Because people are more likely to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Precisely. And then there's consultative selling.
Consultative selling. What's that?
Consultative selling is about acting as a trusted advisor to your customers. You help them identify their needs and find solutions that create value for their business.
So it's about understanding their challenges and goals.
Exactly. And it requires a deep understanding of your customer's industry and their specific situation.
So it's a more sophisticated approach to sales.
It is, and it can be very effective, especially when selling complex products or services.
Okay, so we've covered marketing and sales. Now what's next on our entrepreneurial journey?
Well, next up, we're going to explore the world of operations, the often overlooked but crucial aspect of building a successful business.
Operations.
It sounds a bit boring.
It might not be as glamorous as marketing or sales, but it's the backbone of any successful business.
So it's what keeps the lights on.
Exactly. It's all the activities that go into delivering your product or service to your customers.
So things like manufacturing logistics, customer support.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And if your operations are messy and inefficient, it doesn't matter how great your product or service is. You'll struggle to scale your business and keep your customers happy.
So it's all about efficiency and effectiveness. Exactly. Mullins emphasizes designing efficient processes, optimizing your supply chain, and investing in technology to streamline operations.
Okay, let's dive into some specifics. How can businesses optimize their operations?
Well, one approach Mullins highlights is lean manufacturing.
Lean manufacturing, I've heard that term. What does it mean?
It's all about eliminating waste and maximizing efficiency in production.
So it's about doing more with less.
Exactly. And it's not just about manufacturing, it can apply to any type of business.
So it's about finding ways to streamline your processes and eliminate any steps that don't add value.
Precisely. And then there's supply chain optimization.
Supply chain optimization, that sounds complicated.
It can be, but it's essential for any business that relies on a network of suppliers and partners.
So it's about making sure that everything flows smoothly from start to finish.
Exactly. And it involves finding reliable suppliers, negotiating favorable terms, streamlining logistics, and implementing technology that improves visibility and communication.
So it's a lot to manage.
It is. But a well-optimized supply chain can save you time, money, and headaches.
Okay, what about the role of technology in operations?
Technology can be a game changer. Mullins encourages businesses to invest in software that automates tasks, streamlines processes, and improves data analysis.
So things like CRM systems, ERP systems, marketing automation platforms.
Exactly. These tools can help you operate more efficiently, effectively, and make better decisions.
So it's about leveraging technology to your advantage.
Absolutely. And as technology continues to evolve, we can expect even more innovative tools and solutions that will further optimize business operations.
It's an exciting time to be in business.
It is. Now we've talked about optimizing internal operations. Let's shift our focus to managing external relationships.
Okay, so relationships with suppliers, partners, other stakeholders.
Exactly. These relationships are crucial for any business, regardless of its size or industry.
Because no business is an island. We all rely on others to succeed.
Precisely. And Mullins emphasizes building strong relationships based on trust, mutual respect, and shared goals.
So it's about creating win-win partnerships.
Exactly. And it involves clear communication, open dialogue, and a willingness to collaborate to resolve challenges.
So it's about being a good partner.
It is. And it's essential for long-term success.
Okay, so what are some specific strategies for managing external relationships effectively?
Well, one important step is choosing the right partners.
Right, you want to make sure you're aligned on values, goals, and vision.
Exactly. And you also want to make sure that you have clear contracts and agreements that outline each party's roles, responsibilities, and expectations.
So everyone knows what's expected of them.
Precisely. And it's important to establish clear communication channels, regular check-ins, and a process for resolving disputes quickly and fairly.
So a well-structured partnership should operate smoothly with open communication, shared goals, and a process for addressing challenges.
Exactly. Now let's turn our attention to customer relationships, arguably the most important for any business.
Customer relationships, the heart of any successful business.
Absolutely. Happy customers are your best advocates. They're the ones who will spread the word about your business and keep coming back for more.
So it's about exceeding their expectations and providing an exceptional experience.
Precisely. Mullins highlights the importance of listening to your customers, understanding their needs, and responding to their feedback.
So it's about creating a two-way dialogue.
Exactly. And it's about going above and beyond to resolve customer issues quickly and fairly.
Because a single negative experience can damage your reputation.
It can.
Yeah.
And in today's world of social media, negative reviews can spread like wildfire.
So it's more important than ever to prioritize customer service.
It is. And it's not just about resolving issues, it's also about creating a positive and memorable experience for your customers.
It's about making them feel valued, appreciated, and understood.
Exactly. Now let's move on to another crucial aspect of business success: financial management.
Financial management, the numbers game.
Exactly. It's about making smart decisions about how you use your resources to achieve your business goals.
So it's more than just balancing the books.
It is. It's about using financial data to make strategic decisions that drive growth and profitability.
Okay, so what are some key aspects of financial management?
Well, Mullins emphasizes the importance of developing a realistic budget, tracking your expenses, and monitoring your cash flow carefully.
Right, because even a profitable business can run into trouble if it runs out of cash.
Exactly. And it's crucial to understand your key financial metrics.
Key financial metrics, what are those?
Things like your profit margins, your return on investment, your debt-to-equity ratio.
Okay, those sound a bit intimidating.
They might sound technical, but they're essential for understanding the health of your business.
So it's like getting a regular checkup for your business.
Precisely. And they can help you identify areas where you need to make adjustments.
Okay, so let's talk about some specific financial management strategies. What's the best way to control costs?
Well, it starts with identifying your biggest expenses and finding ways to reduce them without sacrificing quality or efficiency.
So it's about being frugal but not cheap.
Exactly. And it's about negotiating better rates with suppliers, finding more cost-effective ways to produce or deliver your product or service, and eliminating unnecessary spending.
So it's about being mindful of every dollar you spend.
It is. And then there's inventory management.
Inventory management. That sounds important.
It is. Having too much inventory ties up cash and increases the risk of obsolescence, while having too little can lead to stockouts and lost sales.
It's a balancing act.
It is. And it involves forecasting demand, accurately optimizing your ordering process, and implementing systems that track your inventory levels in real time.
So it's about having the right amount of inventory at the right time.
Exactly. Now let's talk about pricing.
Pricing. That's where we determine how much to charge for our product or service.
Exactly. And it's a crucial decision that can make or break your business.
So how do you determine the right price?
Well, Mullins emphasizes the importance of understanding your costs, your competitors' pricing, and the value your product or service provides to your customers.
So it's not just about charging as much as you can get away with.
No, it's about finding a price that's both profitable for your business and attractive to your customers.
So it's a balancing act.
It is. And there are different pricing strategies you can use.
Like what?
Well, there's cost plus pricing, where you simply add a markup to your costs to determine your selling price.
So you're guaranteed to make a profit.
You are, but it doesn't always take into account the value your product or service provides.
Okay, what about value-based pricing?
Value-based pricing is about setting your price based on the perceived value your product or service provides to your customers.
So if your product solves a big problem or offers unique benefits, you can charge a premium.
Exactly. And then there's competitive pricing.
Competitive pricing. So you're looking at what your competitors are charging.
Exactly. And you're trying to find a price point that's competitive but also profitable.
So it's about finding the sweet spot.
It is. And the best pricing strategy for your business will depend on a variety of factors.
Like what?
Your industry, your target market, your competitive landscape, your business goals.
So it's a complex decision.
It can be, but it's one of the most important decisions you'll make as a business owner.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. From market analysis and financial management to operations, marketing, and sales. Now let's talk about the final domain, exit strategy.
Exit strategy. It's the chapter that many entrepreneurs skip over.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's because they're so focused on building their business that they don't want to think about the end.
But it's important to have a plan, right?
It is. Even if you don't plan to exit your business anytime soon, it's wise to think about your options.
So it's like having an insurance policy. You might not ever need it, but it's good to have it just in case.
Exactly. And having a clear exit strategy can actually make your business more attractive to investors.
Because they'll know there's a potential path to liquidity.
Precisely. So let's explore some different exit strategies.
Okay, what are our options?
One common strategy is selling your business to another company.
So finding a buyer who's willing to pay a premium for your business.
Exactly. And this is often the goal for many entrepreneurs.
What makes a business attractive to potential acquirers?
Businesses with strong brands, loyal customers, solid financials, and a proven track record of growth are typically the most appealing.
So it's about building a business that's valuable as an asset.
Precisely. Another common exit strategy is going public through an initial public offering, or IPO.
Going public, that's the dream for many entrepreneurs.
It is. It's a way to raise capital gain liquidity and increase brand awareness.
But it's not easy, right?
No, it's a complex and demanding process that requires a lot of preparation and planning.
So what are some key considerations for companies contemplating going public?
They need a strong management team, a solid track record of financial performance, and a compelling growth story to attract investors.
So it's not just about having a great product or service.
No, it's about having a proven business model, a clear vision for the future, and a team that can execute.
And it's important to remember that going public isn't a guarantee of success.
It's not. Public companies face increased scrutiny, regulatory burdens, and pressure to meet quarterly earnings expectations.
So it's a big decision with a lot of potential upside, but also some potential downsides.
Exactly. Now let's touch on an often overlooked exit strategy: succession planning.
Succession planning. That's about passing the torch to the next generation.
Precisely. It's particularly relevant for family-owned businesses or those where the founder plays a central role.
So it's about ensuring a smooth transition of leadership and ownership.
Exactly. And it involves identifying and grooming potential successors, developing a plan for transferring ownership and responsibilities, and ensuring the next generation has the skills and experience to lead the business forward.
So it's about setting the business up for long-term success.
It is. And it's a process that should begin well in advance of the actual transition.
Oh, it's not something you want to leave to the last minute.
Absolutely. Now we've covered all 7 domains of the new business road test framework.
That was a whirlwind tour of entrepreneurship.
It was, but I hope you found it valuable.
I did. It's given me a lot to think about.
Me too. And remember, building a successful business is a journey, not a destination.
So it's about embracing the process, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on your dreams.
Exactly. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the entrepreneurial world. We hope you've gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own ventures.
Absolutely. And remember, the most important thing is to take action. Don't let fear or uncertainty hold you back. Go out there and make your dreams a reality.
That's great advice. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep innovating.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Unique benefits or solves a particularly painful problem for your customers. You can justify charging a premium price.
Right. It's all about perceived value.
Exactly. And competitive pricing is setting your price based on what your competitors are charging.
So you're trying to stay competitive, but also making sure you're not leaving money on the table.
Precisely. The best pricing strategy will depend on various factors like your industry, your target market, your competitive landscape, and of course your business goals.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Exactly. It's about finding the approach that works best for your specific situation.
Okay, so we've covered pricing. Now what's next?
Let's talk about exit strategy.
Exit strategy. That sounds a bit like planning for the end before you've even begun.
Well, it might seem that way, but it's actually a crucial part of any sound business plan.
So it's about thinking ahead.
Exactly. It's about having a plan for what happens if you decide to sell your business, go public, or pass it on to someone else.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about closing down the business. It's about having options.
Precisely. And having a clear exit strategy can actually make your business more attractive to investors.
How so?
Well, investors want to know that there's a potential path to liquidity,
Yeah,
that they'll eventually be able to cash out their investment and realize a return.
that makes sense. So it's about giving investors confidence that their money is in good hands.
Exactly. So let's explore some common exit strategies. One option is selling your business to another company.
Okay, so finding a buyer who's willing to pay a premium for your business.
Right. And this is often the goal for many entrepreneurs, to build a successful business that they can eventually sell for a profit.
So what makes a business attractive to potential acquirers?
Businesses with strong brands, loyal customers, solid financials, and a proven track record of growth are typically the most appealing.
So it's about building a business that's valuable as an asset.
Exactly. Another common exit strategy is going public through an initial public offering or IPO.
Going public. That's the dream for many entrepreneurs.
It is. It's a way to raise a lot of capital gain liquidity and increase brand awareness.
But it's a complex process, right?
It is. It requires a lot of preparation and planning, and it's not suitable for every business.
So what are some key considerations for companies thinking about going public?
Well, they need a strong management team, a solid track record of financial performance, and a compelling growth story to attract investors.
So it's about more than just having a great product or service.
Exactly. It's about having a proven business model, a clear vision for the future, and a team that can execute.
And it's important to remember that going public isn't a guarantee of success.
Right. Public companies face increased scrutiny, regulatory burdens, and pressure to meet quarterly earnings expectations.
So it's a big decision with a lot of potential upside, but also some potential downsides.
Exactly. Now let's touch on another exit strategy that's often overlooked, succession planning.
Succession planning. What's that?
It's about having a plan for who will take over the business when you're no longer able or willing to run it.
So it's about ensuring a smooth transition of leadership and ownership.
Exactly. And it's particularly important for family businesses or businesses where the founder plays a central role.
So it's about setting the business up for long-term success even after the founder is gone.
Precisely. And it's a process that should begin well in advance of the actual transition.
So don't wait until the last minute to start thinking about succession planning.
Exactly. Now we've covered all 7 domains of the new business road test framework. We've explored market analysis, industry analysis, competitive strategy, financial analysis, team building connections, and exit strategies.
Wow, that's a lot of information to digest.
It is, but it's essential knowledge for any entrepreneur or investor who wants to succeed in today's competitive business world.
So what's the key takeaway from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that building a successful business is a multifaceted endeavor. It requires careful planning, strategic thinking, and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances.
So it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not, but it can be incredibly rewarding, both personally and financially.
And that's what makes entrepreneurship so exciting.
Absolutely. It's about creating something new, something valuable, something that makes a difference in the world.
It's about pursuing your dreams and making them a reality.
Precisely. And that's what I love about this book, The New Business Road Test. It gives you the tools and the insights you need to turn your entrepreneurial dreams into a success story.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the new business road test. We hope you found this episode informative and inspiring.
We did too. And remember, the most important thing is to take action. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to experiment. And most importantly, don't be afraid to dream big.
That's great advice. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep innovating.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.